Thank you very much. And now Mary Gaskins will walk us through leadership development.
Thank you. And I get very excited when I talk about this work, so I'm going to stick to my notes tonight so I stick to my time. I want to say first that the work of the Executive Leadership Program really began in the fall of 2016 when we began planning for our first cohort for aspiring principals. That work had such a meaningful impact that it began a ripple effect that continues today. While our Executive Leadership Program remains in a constant state of design and revision, we have established enough of a foundation that it is part of our intentional culture now in Lexington 1. As a reminder, the intended outcomes of the Executive Leadership Program are listed here. We are building the capacity of our instructional leaders to increase student achievement, outcomes, and opportunities. We are committed to creating equitable learning outcomes for all adults in the system, regardless of where they lead. We want to retain our high-performing employees, knowing that if we don't give them opportunities to stretch and grow here, they may decide to lead somewhere else. We are also continuing to develop more transparent and rigorous hiring processes, and ultimately, we are creating opportunities for staff to take ownership of their own learning with the leadership development process. With those outcomes in mind, we developed a leadership continuum and competency-based standards for 4 key roles. For each role, we have created multiple pathways for development and feedback aligned with the leadership standards. As I shared earlier, every new aspect of the program reveals additional opportunities to expand and enhance how we develop our leaders. Every time we begin a new program, we get ideas for the next one. Dr. Little jokes that you can aspire for a role here in Lexington 1. Tonight, I want to highlight 2 of the programs where we really advanced our work last year: the New Leader Induction Program and our Teacher Leadership work. 2019-20 was our first year of fully implementing our New Leader Induction Program. The program is designed to help APs and principals who are new to the role or new to Lexington 1 transition smoothly and successfully. This graphic represents all of the supports provided a new principal. The program begins with a 3-day onboarding institute and is followed by cohort learning sessions throughout the year where new principals come together to learn. They are also provided with leadership coaching from their level director, Vanner Thomas, another principal to serve as a peer mentor, and just-in-time central services support throughout the year. For example, during the budget and hiring season, those topics are the emphasis of our cohort learning sessions, where we bring in both experienced principals and central services leaders to facilitate the learning. We have also developed some centralized resources to make it easier for new leaders to get access to what they need. Our supports for new APs are very similar to this, except they get coaching from their principal instead of from the level director. Since it was our first year of implementation last year, it was very important for us to get feedback from participants. Overwhelmingly, we heard that the relationship building and networking aspects of the program were the most valuable. They were so glad to walk into a meeting and already have established relationships with other members of the cohort, with mentors, with central services leaders. They also appreciated understanding things like how to use the district data dashboards, practice with giving and receiving feedback, scenario-based learning, and who to call for what at central services. Based on their feedback, we've made some adjustments for this next cohort of new APs and principals. First of all, we've changed how we select and support our AP and principal mentors this year to really strengthen that relationship. And we're also revising the cohort sessions so that they're more aligned with our state induction program and allow for practical application. In terms of teacher leadership, the Teacher Leadership Council's Teacher Leader Working Group continued to work on more consistent roles and responsibilities for teacher leaders across the district. Using the role descriptions that were drafted during the 18-19 school year, they spent last year getting feedback and making revisions to these 4 teacher leader roles. They also spent last year determining consistent selection criteria and resources, which includes the opportunity for any teacher to express interest in a leadership role. While 3 of these roles already exist in the district, and our goal was just to make them more consistent, one role is completely new, the peer ambassador role. And this is the one that everyone seems to be most excited about. This teacher leader will coordinate a system of support and act as a trusted partner for new or new to the school teachers. The need for this role was expressed by several working groups of the Teacher Leadership Council. This past January, the Teacher Leader Working Group wrote a letter to SLT seeking approval for these 4 roles and outlining the support they were requesting aligned with their responsibilities. In March, we met with elementary principals to begin to outline a transition plan to these consistent roles across schools. We plan to meet with secondary principals when we face the school closure. When the closure was extended and we began to understand how hard it was going to be to re-enter school, Kimberly Freeman and I met with the working group facilitators to determine our next steps. With all the work that has gone into this, they were concerned about this getting lost and wanted to wait and implement it at a time when we could do it in a targeted and meaningful way. So our new plan is to begin transitioning to these roles in the 2021-2022 school year. Since the selection criteria and resources have now been developed, schools will have access to what they need to begin that transition this spring in preparation for the following year. Also, that will give the TLC working group this year to also continue to develop the support resources that will be provided for teachers in these roles. I'm sharing just a few of the comments from the feedback we received from teachers. As we studied these and other comments, we were encouraged that the feedback aligns with our intended outcomes for the leadership program. As I shared in the beginning, we know that our executive leadership program will constantly expand and be revised, but we feel like a solid foundation has been established. Upon the foundation, the next step is for us to consider how we can offer leadership development opportunities for our support staff members, especially for those who are in or aspire to be in a managerial or supervisory role. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
I would just say thank you. Of all of our portfolio projects, I think if we had not doubled down on developing internal talent, both with the economic boom that was present 2 years ago, and I mean, teachers were leaving and principals were leaving because, I mean, they had other choices, as well as this COVID pandemic, which essentially has forced some people or scared some people out. I don't know if we would have had stability of our educational model like we have today. So again, I think this has benefited us in 2 different situations, and that's the whole point of this, is we don't even know what the third situation is going to be. But we got to grow that leadership talent such that the teams on the ground at the schools can adjust the situation and keep the team engaged, because, I mean, they have choices, and we want them to choose lesson 1. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaskins.